Hey, what's up? This is the Hype Seat where real ones drop real strategy in real time. No scripts, no filters, no BS. We go live across TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So what you're hearing right now, it's raw, it's real, it's happening as we speak. No perfect edits, no motivational theater, just unfiltered conversations with people who actually walk the walk. This show is for builders, leaders, people who want to create momentum in a world full of chaos, pressure, and distractions. And if you're rebuilding from scratch or leading while carrying real life behind the scenes, I see you. That is why this show even exists. And that is exactly why I created the Hype Collective in the first place. Each week, I bring on voices that matter, not because they're famous, but because they're doing something worth talking about. If they're innovating, disrupting, or leading with intention, we're putting them here in the Hype Seat. And today we've got Jenn, aka Chi TV, Baltimore-based real estate agent and content creator who's built a loyal following by keeping things real, clear, and client-focused with over 1.7 million likes and more than 39,000 followers on TikTok. Chi isn't just chasing the viral videos, he's actually building trust. His videos break down the buying and selling process, highlight the day-to-day reality of Baltimore real estate, and offer real value to people trying to understand their next move. He's grown his business by staying consistent, staying curious, and staying in his lane, and that's exactly why he's here. So today, we're going to be talking about what it takes to create content that converts, how to stay relatable and professional, and why being calm and steady is sometimes louder than just shouting in this industry. So let's sit down, lock in. This is the Hype Seat. So welcome, Chi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot. You know, as you said before that, it's like our first time actually talking to each other. So
I know.
it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of content, let's just start where your content begins, which is actually a place. You know, it leads with like location, community, lifestyle, not just price tags and stats. So why was that important to you, when you got started with this journey?
Uh, People can look up price and pictures on anything, right? Any real estate website, whatever. I mean, that's just the beginning part of real estate. And diving deeper into what the house, where the house located, and just walking through the video. I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. Really even before TikTok and Facebook Live was one of the original thing that we all did back in the day, and we're just walking around doing brokers open and just filming and showing people what the house looks like. So getting to the nitty gritty of real estate, really. Showcasing the steps of buying a house, how to sell a house, and all the things that people never thought of until you go through it 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times, then you gain the experience, and I'm happy to share all those things to whoever's watching.
Absolutely. So, when you showcase all these different vibes, right? The street, local spot, the culture, and all of that, is that strategic or instinct? Like, is that, where did you kind of, get the idea for the type of content that you share?
Well, really going back, I'm sure you can relate. I mean, back in the day, everyone got inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk. He said,
Mhm.
you should be
Absolutely.
the digital mayor of your town. So that's when actually of my channel name HGTV, kind of twist with HGTV. And I got that name actually when I was doing a Brokers Open way, I don't know, 5, 10 years now, doing Facebook Live, as I said. And one of the title reps, he's like, "Hey, you should call yourself HGTV," and that stuck. And he left 2 weeks later, and I kept the name. And being local, just showcasing Baltimore, right? We all know this. People, when they buy now, YouTube and TikTok are the search engines of whatever, especially in real estate. And people will find, okay, hashtag Baltimore Realtors, or living in Baltimore, or where to live in Baltimore. All those things matter. So showcasing Baltimore and the real estate of Baltimore is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. That super resonates. I moved to Florida and rebuilt my business from scratch last summer. And so knowing the feel of a place mattered more than, any market stat when I was making this move. And that's what I teach my agents too. It's like community drives connection. It's not just the stats, the static posts. Like if you scroll right past it, then your clients are going to scroll right past it too. So let's keep that going, because the vibe first approach is something that most agents overlook, right? They're like, oh, I just sold a house, I need to put it just sold, or whatever. But the vibe aspect of it, that connects right to how trust gets built before the sale happens. So I want to go there next. There's the filler content, like what I'm talking about, the static posts, which I tell the agents that I coach, stop doing the just listed, just sold posts. Okay, those are not working. So you have the filler content, and then you have content that actually builds that trust that we're going after. And yours obviously does the latter. What's your approach to showing up online, like to be able to be genuine, authentic, and build trust with people rather than just the filler content?
You got to show who you are. I've been doing this since 2009. Before all those internet social media craziness. So back in the day, and I'm sure you can relate, it's if you've been selling for a while, you get a listing appointment, and you have that half an hour to an hour appointment at the kitchen table, dining room, to convince that seller that you are that agent, you are that trusted agent to list their biggest asset, right? That at the end of the day, that's what it is. And you feel the pressure and everything. You will print out all the listings, all the pictures, and all the stats, CMAs, all that stuff, and bring a big old folder to the listing appointment or at the buyer consultation. Come in our office and we'll talk about buying process, which you should always do, no matter what. But at the end of the day, I'll go through the whole process, put the search the properties, literally hook it up on my laptop, on the screen TV, on the conference room, and search properties there. So nothing wrong with all those things, which we all do sometimes still. Now that able to use social media and showcase who I am as a person, that takes out the selling part of myself altogether.
Yep.
Most of my business is referrals, past clients, and social media. And by the time I literally, first question I said, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Let's get right into it. What's the big picture? Like what? Literally, I just go into what do you want? Like, what do you want to buy? Or like, what's your current situation? What's your timeline? I don't even sell anymore. They know who I am as a person. By that, there's no selling. So by the time they talk to me and talk to you and talk to agents who present themselves on social media, you've done all the hard work of who you are as a person. They trust you already. Once they reach out to you, that's it. There's nothing else that you have to do. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And, our audience, both, yours and mine, I'm sure, agents that are watching, maybe they're not in that position yet of like, okay, right now I'm grinding, I'm cold calling, I'm door knocking, I'm open housing, all the things, and they want to get started in the social media space. I coach and train a lot on this and just the consistency of it. And we're going to get into that too. But I just, someone that's watching right now and like, okay, well, yeah, but I don't have the social proof yet. What would you recommend for them to get started, and maybe some principles that would help to help build that confidence?
I always recommend that you don't have to go full tilt of doing, video all time, 3-minute video, 10-minute video on YouTube or TikTok, or whatever it is. Just do stories. Just do Instagram stories. Just link it up to your Facebook stories. People just want to see you as a person. Going back, you are that real estate expert, right? Locally, literally, you are the local real estate expert in your town, your zip code, your neighborhood, your city, and they want to see the realness of what actually takes to sell real estate. Yes, there's Bravo, $1 million listing, all kind of stuff. We all know it's produced and the property is sold before it even comes on the market. Why not? As I said, walk through the showings. You have an open house. Everyone has time. Agents, I don't have time. No, you have time.
24 hours.
There's no excuse. You have time. So why don't you showcase your listing? You know what I mean? You don't even have to show your face. You're like pull on live and then, hey, I'm at whatever, and then you walk through the front door. Here's the living room, dining room. I mean, that's the beginning stage of it. That's all I recommend. What I recommend, you don't feel comfortable putting yourself in front of camera, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. Don't overthink about yourself. People for some reason, I say this, people will use you, Jen. They'll use you. They won't use me. Or they will use me and not another realtor. I can't take your clients away from you if they love you, right?
Mhm.
So for everyone who's thinking, well, if I'm going to show my face, they don't like how I look or sound or whatever it is. No, actually, they watch you because of you.
Mhm.
They don't like that loud, obnoxious, whoever it is, or a low, quiet person, or they might love the monotone because that's like they want statistics. That's the agent that they want to use. They don't like the loud, flashy agents. They want like give me the nitty gritty stuff. So being yourself, who you are as a realtor, showcasing your highlights of who you are is the most important part, I think, of any agent who's still hesitating of presenting themselves, because they're using you. I mean, people who using you already, not even watching you on social media. Why not? Why not do it?
Yep, 100%. Well, that really hits. I used to create content from a place of wanting to be liked. People pleasing was my whole brand, not on purpose, but I realized that it was my whole brand at one point, and I had to unlearn all of that, especially when restarting, or like whether you're brand new, and for me, rebuilding, moving to an entirely different state across the nation. And so, I really had to learn to create everything around not just wanting to be liked, but being who I really was and sharing the information that I knew and being confident in those things. And I think that's a big piece of what people are missing. And they think, oh, how should I present myself? How what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to wear? And appealing to a giant group of people. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't work with everyone. I actually just watched a video of yours that said that, like, you're not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. But if you try to be all things to all people, you're not going to, like, there's no foundation there. You're just appeasing people just for what you think that they want you to be. And it's like that, you can't build something around that. And that's what I teach inside my Hype Collective, is just rooted in like alignment with yourself and the type of people you want to work with, not just approval.
Yeah, I say this all the time. It's you're presenting your energy out into the world, right? So, and people, watch you enough of it, they will attract to your energy, and those are the people you actually want for you to help them, or they want you to represent them as buyers and sellers. So why, why attract people that you just don't want to attract?
Yeah, exactly.
That's personal relationship. There's business relationship, all types of relationship. Work with people that loves you and you love them because you share the same wavelength, the same energy. And it's been a while since I worked with someone that's just can't go to sleep at night. And we all been there. Like you look on the phone, you're like, oh my God, that name again. It's been a while.
I know that feeling. But yeah, it's wild how much clarity you gain when you stop creating content and trying to attract just to please.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens when people think that they know you before we even met. I know you touched on it a little bit ago. So it's technically called like a parasocial pipeline, people who feel like they already know you. And how do you bridge that gap, from just like, I'm curious, have you ever had to reset expectations because a client thought it would be, as smooth as a TikTok sound to go through things, or like maybe, I don't know, is there a disconnect between how you show up online versus how things go in real life? And so how do you bridge that gap?
I would say most of the time when people reach out to me through social media is that they know me already. They know how I communicate, what I look like, how I sound. It's not as, I would say, it's not as tough to be different. As a realtor, of course, I have to set an expectation, or I'm learning from my client how they work, right? Like yesterday, I just got a phone call from a past client or a neighborhood friend who referred me. One of the questions is, how do you want to be communicated, through text or through email? What's the best? Because some clients like, well, I work for the government, so probably email is best because then I can check my email.
Right.
You can't have a cell phone. So you got to learn from your clients as much as they learn from me. And really, by the time they reach out to me, they know who I am, and that's the great part of being on social media.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is, again, why it's so important to show up on social media as yourself. Like if you're someone that is, you're kind of more of a casual person, you're laid back, your speech is a little bit slower or whatever, just because that's just how you are. But you show up online as a fast talker and high energy and all this, but then in person, like that's not actually who you are. So I think what I hear you're saying is show up who you are and what the value it is that you bring in your personality and the things that interest you. And yes, of course, there's stats out there. There's, you got to play to and give the people what they want, so to speak, as far as what content performs well. But that doesn't mean changing up who you are and showing up that way because otherwise, if you're showing up on socials one way and then your clients are having an entirely different experience with you on the back end, that's going to be a problem. And there's going to definitely be a disconnect there.
No, definitely. If you do enough content, your true self will show up. Yep. When you create content on your phone, it's different than your videographer showing up, lighting, all that kind of stuff, presenting, best of you. You got to dress up. You got, you got to get your speech down. But if you just showcase who you are or show who you are as a person, that's the most important part. Because again, it's really you're trying to show people your true self, and if they reach out to you, that's it. There's no selling anymore. And the job of, and people say we're salesmen, we're not salesmen. Yes, we are salesmen. We're selling houses. Don't get me wrong, but the first step of selling a house is to connect with those people that we're working with. If there's no connection with people we're working with, there's no house to sell. So.
Right. Exactly. It first starts with a connection and building relationship before you can even get to the point of selling a house or showing people properties. And I talk a lot about that as well with the agents I've got in my circle. So speaking of, setting boundaries, showing up how you are and having clarity around that, let's talk about how you balance creation with your actual work in real estate, because I know a lot of agents right now are struggling with that because you're juggling full-time content creation. And the more that ramps up, the more you have to spend time on it. But you also are working with clients on a regular basis. So how do you stay consistent without burning out?
There's certain things, if you get busy, you're just busy. For me, I always thought of, okay, let me try to do one video a day. TikTok, TikTok is like my main social media channel. So it does not take that long to do a TikTok video. And that's the great thing about TikTok. YouTube is a totally different animal.
Yes, trust me.
So don't here's the thing. You and I know this, we sometimes overthink that we got to give like the best idea of how to buy a house, how to sell a house, how to avoid these pitfalls of buying a house. You and I know some of the simplest videos just takes off for no apparent reason. Yep. So don't overthink of the content that you have to do. I can't think of one right now, but like a minute, I'll record something for a minute and I'll post it. And then I'm like, okay, I go to gym, work out, come back out. And it's like, it's tracting already. And I've done video. Yeah, 6-minute video, whatever video it is. I'm like putting my time and effort. I got to edit, and the back green screen, all this kind of stuff. And then it's like only, 600 views, right? So to really go back to answer your question, is that how to juggle is that, I business is business. You know what I mean? I have to attend to my clients first. That's the most important part. Anything other than that, if I have time in the morning or in between those appointments or showings, whatever, and some of the things that you want to do, you can do is that you finish a listing appointment, you finish showing a house, and you might have that 20 minutes, 30 minutes, have a phone. Hey, I just showed this house. You don't show, I mean? You just like, I just showed this house and tell the story of the showings. The content is literally right there nonstop. If you just twist, use it a little bit of that. I sold a house for my client, moved down to Florida. And, I said, I helped them bought that house 10 years ago, for $135,000, $160,000. They sold it now for $290,000, That's a piece of content. And every time I go back, that's another piece of content. I did an open house. That's another piece of content. So the content is nonstop. If you just use it a little bit, not to twist it, but just utilize the house that you have, and you can make unlimited amount of content. And a lot of times, and I do it myself, is that I feel like, well, I don't want to talk about that again. I don't want to talk about that because they've seen it. No, not everyone have saw it.
Yep, and if you looked at your stats, as I know you do, but if you were to look at your stats, I mean, the majority of the content that people online see of mine that I notice, especially on TikTok, are not the people that are following me. And so I had to learn that lesson too of like, no, you do need to repeat yourself over and over and over and over and over again. Not that it's, you repost the same video, but maybe take a well-performing video that did really well and film it again with a little twist or with whatever, just retell the story, whatever that might be, because a whole new audience is going to see it. We are so focused on ourselves. I think when people are starting like everyone's watching and everyone sees everything we post, so they're going to get bored or they're going to get what, and it's like, no, that's just not the case. Where the algorithm shows it. I'm not just saying that because that's what I feel. It's literally what I learned and had to realize when I started looking at
we,
this
we
stuff.
will watch just some music video 50,000 times.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
A burger or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's like we watch it again. So
and
yeah.
and treating the stats as information, it's not about the likes, it's not the virality of it, right? The whole point of being consistent on social media is to have clients that convert, right? That's a whole point. So if you have a well-performing video where there was lots of comments or people were, really engaged with it and really liked it, then okay, great. Create more of those videos. And that's what I was talking about earlier, which I think you do a really good job at. And I've seen you do it where you'll create a video and you get some of these comments, then you'll take one of those comments, create a new video or create a follow-up to the video that did really well. Because obviously people showed interest in it. Like you said, it's not rocket science. It's not difficult. It's just changing your mindset around, well, what do I post today? It's like, there's a million things to post today. So maybe play around and test with a bunch of different kinds of things and then see what performs well, then just start gearing towards that. That's exactly what I did when I first started. And that's, I'm sure your account today and what you prioritize for content probably looks a little different than when you first started.
Yeah, at first started, it was like, what am I going to post? And I did a lot of sound, I did a lot of dubbing of the sound, you know what I mean? And make it into a real estate theme. And because I was uncomfortable talking on camera. And I remember I'm like, well, how many of these can I do? So let me just start talking about, real estate and showcasing, my listings and showcasing around Baltimore. And I think you watch me enough. I use humor, part of my videos. So I try to use humor, quite a bit to engage with regular people and agents, right? It's because yes, one thing is to attract a home buyer, home seller to contact me, but half of those buyers and sellers are actually referrals from other agents from different parts of the country. Hey, I've been watching you on TikTok in Baltimore. I have a client who wants to buy, in Baltimore. Can you help him? Like, of course. so it's, a lot of times I think agents like, well, let me attract buyers and sellers and very specific, I mean, it's kind of tough sometimes. Like, how many people are watching you consistently in Baltimore or going to move to Baltimore and contact you? Yes, there are people, but there are many agents around the country watching you, and you say enough Baltimore, then, oh, I got someone who's moving to Baltimore. So that's the other aspect of doing social media.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So I want to zoom out for a second and I want to ask you about what your back end looks like. Okay. Because it takes a lot, like we were talking about. It's like having those two full-time jobs of content creator and, running a real estate business. So follow-up systems, client onboarding, all the stuff that, like, what do you do to kind of keep you out of the chaos? So what does that back end look like for you?
Back end, I'm very old school. I have a big old whiteboard that I look at. Any possible client that I have, I'll put on whiteboard. Obviously, I'll put those, depending on the ones that are looking right now, and then there's like next year and so on. I do have a teammate. She helps me with inputting all the information in our CRM system. That helps. But for me, I am just pretty old school. I'm big old board. I need to see my clients in front of me so that I can follow up with them and make sure I don't miss anything.
Love it. Love it. I love talking to different, top producing agents because I notice threads. We all maybe do things a little bit differently, but I love that you said you like to see it. I do the exact same thing. I have and utilize a CRM system. I tell people, the agents that I coach and train, I'm like, you've got to have a CRM system if you want to scale. And so, you have an assistant that can do that for you. I have an assistant that can, do those things for us. So it kind of allows us to be able to do some things like that. But I have a pipeline. It just happens to be in like a Google spreadsheet, and I have my, the piece, so I can, and I have that tab open always. So they're actively in my face every single day. And so I love the fact that you understand and my coaching is the same way. I feel like you have the same, beliefs and values of like, there are some tried and true things that have, withstood the test of time, whether it be sales, conversions, how to run a business and things like that. And then there's also modern ways that you can not fall behind and not stay stuck in your ways. So it's like, if you're a visual person, you like to write it down, great, but don't let that stop you from leveraging, and utilizing the tools and systems that are out there. So I'm glad you clarified that yes, you put it on a whiteboard, but you also have an assistant you leverage and you utilize a CRM system, because I think that's important for agents to hear.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, technology is here. There's no game around it. If you don't utilize technology to help you with your business, you're going to run, you're going to fall behind.
It's going to be rough. Yep. Okay. So just random fun question. If I dropped 100 warm leads on you tomorrow, how would you handle them? What would your process look like?
100 more leads. Okay. I would, have my team and I have a small team, my team and we would divide and conquer. We would, make sure that, everyone is reached out, schedule. I don't nitty gritty, schedule a time. Hey, looking to buy and sell. Let's schedule a time for us to talk on the phone or have a Zoom meeting. Anything that's important, and really filter out, what, as I said before, what is your big picture? What's your timeline and everything, and we'll categorize their time as the next 3 months, as the next 6 months, next year, listings, buyers, and so on, and fill out, go through that way, and then hopefully we can help everyone. But yeah, I mean, it's that's a lot.
Well, what I'm trying to get at. So what happens? So you make so the first thing you would do is reach out to them, right? That makes sense. Speed to lead, right? Getting in touch with people as fast as possible. What does your follow-up system look like? If you don't get in touch with somebody, or if you do and they're 6 months to a year out, like, do you have a specific follow-up system that you do, that you implement with different kinds of leads in all different spots of their home buying journey?
Yeah. No, if it's like a year out, we know, okay, that's the month that we're going to go with. We'll follow up, every month or so. Once it get closer, there'll be every week, every couple of weeks, every week. If it's someone that's needs to buy and sell now, then obviously that's a constant connection every week. If not, really the next step. Okay, are you ready for the photo shoot next week, and so on? Any questions? So 3 to 6 months kind of deal, or 6 months out. Okay, we're gonna set up a search for you to look at. You got to go to some of these classes. If you're getting a grant for these houses that you want to buy, get grant to help you buy with closing costs. So it's constant connection of at least minimal, once every month. If it's further out, every couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, for me, again, it's my board. I can see it. I'll categorize who's important, who's can be further out, so that I can reach out to them in the appropriate time.
So there's priority there. Obviously you're going to prioritize the people that are ready to go the soonest, and then kind of that structure strategy, the further out they go. I know that when I first started building again, when I moved here to Florida after my move, I physically had no systems, right? I had no team, I had nothing in place, and it felt like chaos. And so I was able to relate with, new agents coming into it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is how it feels. All right. Like I get it. I have sympathy and I understand now, but I built a real estate team and business before. And so I knew how important it was to build everything with that scalability in mind, like with systems in mind. And if you're going to build something that's going to last, you do have to have systems. There has to be a foundation around, not just getting it built, not just getting clients, but then how do we follow up with that? And so I talk a lot about that when
and sometimes too is in an unintentional way, intentional way that we would do a settlement photo. One of the things that Facebook will remind you, right? Hey, it's your year anniversary of that settlement. So the other thing is to have track your past settlements so that you can reach out to those buyers and sellers. Hey, congratulations, you bought a house a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just that those kinds of touches means a lot, and those are the reasons why they will refer back to you.
100%. It's about staying top of mind. And like what I want agents to get when I coach and train them, or they see my content, is that everything's follow up. Follow up is forever. I have a free event that I do every single month about that. And it's like, just because they close, that's not the end of the relationship. Like you said, having those touch points. Hey, congratulations, it's been a year. Or, hey, here's my vendor list for, people in this area, whatever it might be, home maintenance tips, things like that. Super important to have a follow up system for every stage, no matter where the lead is at in the process. So that's awesome. So definitely structure and scalability matter in business, but so does culture and identity. And we've touched on that, a little bit just with creating social media content, but I do want to lean into that for a minute because I don't know that it's talked about all the time. And, you're a Chinese American male in the real estate agent space. And let's be real, that's not necessarily the majority image that we see in this industry. I think the average agent is a middle-aged white woman, over 60% of real estate agents. So how has that shaped how you show up? And have you ever felt underestimated at all, or what's your experience been?
I would say that's probably like when I first started as a realtor, my name's Chi, right? And I was like, well, should I have a nickname? Should I use American name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. I think I try to use Chris, like Chris for like brief moment, because it's my thinking, right? It's my thinking. Well, they're not gonna reach out to me because they can't even pronounce my name. It's like, oh, Chai, Chi, Chen, whatever it is. So I'm like, well, let me think about using American name. One of the reasons why I thought about that because one of my my good friend, he does TikTok live on mortgages all the time. His name's Carlo, Italian, Carlo Bononi. Okay, he co-owned a mortgage broker before. Okay, and they would send out postcards to whatever neighborhood, right? Same identical postcards. Okay. One is his partner, Sean Cook, SHAWN Cook, and his name, Carlo Bononi. Same exact car, like same neighborhood. Well, Sean Cook gets more phone calls.
Interesting.
Okay. So he changed his name. He's like, well, I guess it's Carlo. But sometimes people think Carlos, right? So so let me change my just name to Chris Bononi. And since he changed that, he got the same amount of phone calls. So now, am I here to tell people, say that it matters? It matters to a certain point, I think. Okay. And that's why social media is so important coming in. So what I'm trying to wrap it up is that if you show yourself enough on social media, it doesn't matter what name you have, because they trust you, they know you. And I would say this is that now to a point where people know me because of my name. Asian, Chinese, you're a woman, Asian woman, African American woman, you know what I mean? Like, people seek you out. I can tell you this right now. People have told me they use me because of me as a minority.
Right. Yep.
They literally, why'd you call me? He's like, well, I like you and you're an Asian man. You know what I mean? I trust you. You present yourself well enough. I trust you, and I think you've seen enough of my content where I'm very pro woman. Like I'm like women. Women buyers are my bread and butter, so to speak, because they buy more homes than men.
Yeah.
I mean, married couple, there's no purchase of a house without the wife approving it. So if I was my mind sometimes when certain creator, or not to say on purpose, but in general, like trying to be just tough guy, tough guy, like rah kind of deal. Nothing wrong with that. But if you can convince the woman that you can be trusted, being who I am, then you got it,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, and I think what I hear you say too, it's whether you decide, speaking to this audience, whether you decide like Carlo did to change his name, or not, and you like, no, like I'm gonna remain Chi. It's not that either one is wrong. It's all about your mindset and what it is that you want to do and how you want to put yourself out there. And I think either route that you go it's about what do you feel like is in alignment with who you are and what you want to do. And like you said, especially having social media, you're able to put out who you are. You're able to show people and make the name itself, because yeah, on postcards, there's no video, there's often no face, no whatever. And so, it's harder to gain trust and gain, whatever. And people can have whatever, misconceptions or what that they want with that. But when you're on socials and you are showing your face, you're showing up authentically who you are, it gives you more, of ability to capture more people and have more people build that trust. And so I think that's really cool that you made the decision to just go with your born name and have it not be a boundary or like feel like it was a setback, because it's not. And now otherwise you wouldn't have HGTV,
right?
So.
I wouldn't be the HGTV. I mean, people literally on Facebook, it's like HGTV, GTV. People literally say it before I even say anything about it. So it's very important. And it goes back to just, you have to be truthful who you are to a certain point. You know what I mean? You don't want to be, you know what I mean? It's so crazy out there.
I got to fight with my spouse today, and this is what it was about. Like, okay.
Right. But if you're a veteran, you know what I mean? Be a veteran agent. Like, usually you know who you are, what you went through as a veteran. Be that. If you specifically love to cook, I tell cook while you're talking about real estate. Whatever it is, showcase who you are as a person.
Love that. Well, you've built something, really intentional. You can tell just by your content, by the way you speak. So I want to close, not yet, but just as we're nearing the close, with where you want all of this to lead. So like when people look back 5-10 years from now, what do you want to be remembered for?
And I got this from Gary Vaynerchuk too, but very beginning on, is that everything that we've done, it's a digital footprint, digital record of who you are as a person. I just did a video yesterday, totally different real estate. I'll talk about, I went to see Metallica and I showcased all the concert tickets. I think you saw it. All those concert ticket stuffs that I did, back in the early 90s. I'm sure if I can try to find it, I'll probably see a picture here, a picture there, doing those times in the concert 90s, but it's not there. There's no record. People was like, oh, I went to a concert, back in '83 and this kind of. I'm like, awesome. I totally believe you, but that's it. It's in your head. It's in your memory. There's no picture. There's no video of it. And I think sometimes, and people, younger generation nowadays, nothing wrong with it. It's just that they don't understand how video, social media is recording history, right? So, if you ask me, like my kids, my grandkids can see me who I am back in 2025 on May 30th, 2025, right? So there's a digital footprint of who you are as a person, and future generation can see, wow, dad or granddad or grandma or whoever, family member it is. We all wish we could have listened to George Washington, you know what I mean? Or Abraham Lincoln, you know what I mean? Like those historical things that we would love to witness and see. So, if you say a bigger picture, real estate's one thing, but able to showcase who I am, truly, again, going back to all, say using humor, like, wow, I didn't know he was funny. Where'd you get your humor from? Well, it's from Grandpa Chi or something, So it's one of those things that, if you think a bigger picture, that's the bigger picture I thought about. And then at the same time, sell some real estate.
Absolutely. Love that. Yeah, I know for me, I just, like you said, being remembered for someone who didn't fake it and just didn't, coast, but showed up as you really were. And like, oh yeah, someone that could, like a child or a grandchild or whatever, that knew me. And then when they show to their future generations, hey, this was your grandma, or this was whoever, that like, and that's exactly how I remember her, that I think is super important. And another reason why you should show up as who you are and lean into that. And then also just, I want to be someone that didn't quit even when you have every reason to, because we all have roadblocks, we all have really hard things in life.
Yeah, you hear stories like my grandma came in this country with $5,000 in the pocket, and I don't know how they did it. I always joke, seeing all those, some of those, I'm like, just imagine if they had a TikTok account. They want TikTok live, You know what I mean? Like when they're when they're building a skyscraper in New York. You know what I mean? No safety harness.
Yep.
So
Oh my gosh, right? Like, what would that look like?
yeah.
Totally. Cool. Okay, well, before we get out of here, I want to turn up the volume, have some fun. This is our rapid fire round. We call it the Real Estate Hot Takes This or That series. So it's a line of questioning where I give you this or that and you choose. So fast answers, no context, no take backs, just fun. So no wrong answers here. Are you ready for it? Okay, let's go. Zillow leads, worth it or waste of time? Dual agency, power move or conflict zone?
Well, Maryland's different. In Maryland, you can't have. I mean, it's a power move. I guess if it's the right situation.
Perfect. Okay, FSBOs, gold mine or guaranteed headache?
Haven't done a FSBO in a long time, so headache for me.
No problem. Open houses, necessary or outdated?
Necessary.
TikTok tips, legit education or hot garbage?
Legit.
I know your answer. Absolutely. Branding, hyper local or personal brand all the way?
Personal.
Cold calling, still king or time to bury it?
For me, time to bury it.
Okay. All right. We've got buyer love letters, strategy or lawsuit waiting to happen? Commission cuts, adapt or push back?
Adapt.
Teams, better together or drama magnets?
Better together if it's done right.
I like it. Clients ghosting, normal or red flag?
Clients ghosting, like ghosting you, ghosting me.
Yes. Clients
red
ghosting.
flag.
Mailers, nostalgic or nobody cares?
For me, nobody cares.
It's fine. I literally feel both of these.
Like, it works. It doesn't work. I don't look at it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last one, and then we'll be done. 10,000 followers or 10 solid referrals?
10 solid referrals. Yeah, I would say 10 consistent, 10 solid referrals.
There you go. That last one might have started a war in the comments.
I mean, I'll still get my 10,000 followers, but if you give me both, you know what I mean? Like
both. Yeah, the answer is both. I know. I started thinking about that one and I was like, well, 10 solid referrals, like how I could, like, that's going to get me more referrals. And then I'm like, well, 10,000 followers, I could also get, so anyways, there's no wrong answers. It's meant to be, just got responses. So love it. Cool. Okay. Well, is there any other last nugget or idea that you want to leave the audience with today?
It's never too late. It's always tried and true. You have to start somewhere. There's no, if you love real estate, it's one of those things. I think, do you love real estate, like the real estate part itself, or do you love helping people? And I think you have to find what you love first. And then, if you love people, that's important. And then you help people buying or sell real estate. Because if you help people, and that's with any type of industry, right? Once you help that people, it could be anything that you help them with any industry, selling cars, selling, contractor, whatever. If they trust you as a person, that's the most important part, and everything else just falls into place. So don't be afraid. I know you are. No one's perfect. No one's perfect. No, like no one's perfect. Just be who you are, because people will love you, and some people will hate you for whatever reason. And one last thing I tell new agents all the time: there's three groups of people. The ones they support you, they'll just refer you, they'll be your advocate. There's people who's going to watch you. They won't say nothing. They'll just watch you. And then the third group of people are just people who are just jealous of you, and they will do anything and everything to bring you down for whatever reason. They wish they made a decision for them to become a realtor, but they didn't make that decision. And they're living through your life thinking that, well, Jen can't do this and she can't do that. But if you are truly passionate of helping people and selling real estate, then you'll prove them wrong. So that's what I would say.
And I really love that because, I've multiple times in my career, because I've been doing it for over 13 years, I have been like, man, you know, and people will ask me, what do you love about real estate? And I'm like, well, has nothing to do with houses. Like I didn't grow up. Like some people literally were like, I grew up watching HGTV or whatever, and watching these real estate shows, and I just loved it. And da, 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 I'm an interior decorator. I love that kind of stuff. And for me, that is not me. I'm not an aesthetic person. I always tell people I sell houses. I don't decorate them. I don't stage them. Like that is not my strong suit. I don't love houses necessarily, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I do love helping people, providing opportunity, helping be a part of someone building wealth and building, a legacy for their family. That's what gets me up. That's what makes me want to, make the calls when I don't feel like it, or film the video when I'm tired, or whatever that might be. So
Yeah,
I'm
I think a
glad
lot
you
of
mentioned that
people
because
seeing
it's
those shows and become realtors, like, oh, I gotta get to see those beautiful homes and stuff. They don't think about people. You know what I mean? That's the bigger
yeah.
part. That, oh, I got to talk to people. Like, yeah, that's how it starts. You got to talk to
Yes.
people to sell these beautiful homes. And I think that's the part that people just don't understand. And people ask me. I learned this from my old office manager. Real estate is easy. Like real estate, that's the easy part.
Yes.
People make it complicated. People's emotions get complicated within the transaction itself. So if you can manage people's expectations and how you work and how they work, that makes it easier.
100%. Well, awesome. Well, Chi everybody, HChi TV. If you're not already following him, go fix that. We have included all of his links on where to connect with him in the show notes. And Chi, thank you so much for showing up today with giving us clarity and consistency on everything. And for me, this episode is a reminder that you don't need to shout or be someone you're not. You just need to show up and show up on purpose. And if anything from today stuck with you guys in our audience, trust that you could rewind this and rewatch anytime and then get back to building, not just for show, but being real. So this was the Hype Seat. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Jen.
much, Chi. Have